It was revealed yesterday that James Gunn and his dog Ozu will be presenting some footage of his Superman movie at something called the Dog Bowl. I'm assuming this is connected to Super Bowl. But if you want me to tell you what the Dog Bowl is, if that's what it's actually exactly called, I can't. I don't care. I don't care what the Dog Bowl is. I don't care what it means. I don't know if we're going to see a scene, an extended trailer. I think it's too soon to show us another trailer. That's my hunch here. And I think we'll get a sneak peek, maybe, or a very short trailer of what we've mostly seen already, maybe with a couple of bits of new footage, or maybe because he's presenting the footage with his dog Ozu, that we may get a sneak peek of Crypto, the super dog, in the movie. Now, James Gunn promoting this Superman film with his dog Ozu reminds me of Robert Mitchum in the film Scrooged when he tells Bill Murray's character to start programming for dogs and for cats. And then Bill Murray's character Frank Cross whispers to his assistant Grace, "Call the police." Now, I don't want to call the police on James Gunn for promoting a Superman movie, a huge movie that's either going to make or break Warner Brothers Discovery, because they're already broken and they need fixing. And this is the movie that they are banking on fixing them. So I don't see the mileage in using a dog to promote a movie, because I think having Crypto in a Superman movie is fine and dandy. I think that's very cool and exciting, and I'm sure he'll be a very entertaining little character for kids and dog lovers. But you ain't gonna fill out a multiplex because you're promoting a movie with a dog. So this kind of tactical marketing is mystifying to me. But on July the 11th, the James Gunn debate will be over. It will not matter about Rotten Tomato scores. No, it won't. It won't matter about critical reviews or what the fans think. All that matters is the box office numbers domestically and across the world globally. That's what people are going to remember. That's the time we live in, everyone. It should be the movie or the episode of the TV show that people remember. But it's the ratings, it's the numbers. Whether something's fresh or not or Rotten Tomatoes doesn't matter. What Warner Brothers needs is around $700 to $1 billion global box office. But will they get it? There's no question about it. The first poster, the first trailer was great marketing. I haven't changed my mind about that. I liked what I saw in the first teaser trailer, and it excited me, and I watched it again and again and again. And I said at the time, so far so good. But all that goes out the window. Promoting a movie with a dog, he found his dog, it was in bad shape, he's told us all about it, but that isn't going to put butts on seats. Crypto isn't going to put butts on seats. He's a great comic book character. I've always loved Crypto. It's Crypto, he's a super dog. What a funny, silly concept. I love it. And I always have. As I say, this isn't going to put many butts on seats. It may convince some more families, mums and mums, dads and dads, mums and dads to come with their children and, watch this movie because there's a cutie little super dog in it. But it isn't going to make or break this movie. It isn't going to make much of a difference. So basically on July the 11th, finally, the debate will be over on James Gunn. I'm very much looking forward to July the 11th, the debate being over. Either the world is going to embrace this movie and Warner Brothers Discovery will be saved, and James Gunn has begun a very exciting long journey with the DCU, and if it fails, it's over before it's begun, and one way or the other, the debate will be over, everyone. And I was asking myself this question the other day: who are the most annoying, factions of the DC fandom? Is it the Arrowverse fans? Is it the Smallville fans? Is it the Snyder fans? Some of you are going to say the Snyder fans. No, they're not the most annoying faction in the DC fandom. Now, you get hardcore DC Snyder fans who are a bit too much. I mean, I prefer the ordinary people who love their director Snyder and love his movies and say they love his movies. There's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with being a fan of a director's work. Obviously, there are some Snyder fans that go a bit too far. But one thing I will say about the Snyderverse fans and stans, what they say is true. What they did to Snyder and Cavill and Amy Adams and Gal Gadot and Ben Affleck and Ray Fisher especially, even Ezra Miller, the pressure they put on that lad. They had him doing Fantastic Beasts and the Flash movie back to back. No one could cope with that. No wonder the lad was broken psychologically and doing some pretty crazy stuff out there, allegedly. But the Snyder fans, if you actually read what most Snyder fans say, if you watch their videos, a lot of what they say is right. Not everything. The monumental, character assassination of James Gunn is a bit too much because they're saying stuff they can't even prove about him. And that's wrong. But a lot of the stuff they've said is true and factual. They're not the most annoying elements of our DC fandom. Maybe you think I'm an annoying member of the DC fandom. That's all right. Stop watching the video. But the most annoying members of the DC fandom are the DCU James Gunn shills. Again, you have every right to love your director, to be excited for the DCU. But you lot have no objectivity. Now, it's true the Snyder fans don't really have much objectivity. I agree. But your lack of objectivity is something else. And I've had a problem with it from day one. It's James Gunn is the bestest ever. And you all seem to think that James Gunn kind of invented DC, invented Superman. And I don't get that level of no objectivity about something that's coming, right? None of you are sitting on the fence. None of you are saying, let's wait and see the movie. As soon as you saw that trailer, you decided that James Gunn's Superman movie was the bestest Superman live-action adaptation ever, right? Better than Smallville, better than Christopher Reeve's movies, better than Superman Returns, bloody-bloss, better than Superman and Lois. Stuff like that is so arrogant. I don't mind people saying, right? And Snyder fans do it, they call Henry Cavill the best Superman ever, in your opinion. They call Man of Steel the best Superman movie ever, in your opinion. I love Man of Steel, but you can't you can objectively say it's the best movie in your opinion. You can't say it's a fact that Man of Steel is the best Superman movie. You're well within your rights to say you love that movie, but to factually say it's the best Superman movie ever. And this is something we get from the James Gunn fans and the DCU stans and shills. No objectivity. They won't hear anything said about James Gunn and the DCU. They won't criticise, the cluster, F-U-C-K, of the DCU Batman. There doesn't seem to be, we'll wait till Superman to see if we see the DCU Batman cameo. That will be interesting. I think we have to know who's playing this character. This one of the most iconic characters, not only in fiction, but in DC lore. And where's the plan for the DCU Batman? They announced this Brave and the Bold movie. It's nowhere. I told you months ago, exclusively. Brave and the Bold wasn't happening in its current form. Where is it? It's not happening. Andy Muschietti told us himself that film will not be seen till well after the Batman is released in 2027. That's over 2 years' time. That means we may not see Brave and the Bold till 2028, 2029, right? What's that? 3-4 years' time? Is anyone even going to care by then? So obviously he's got to show up somewhere. So this is what I mean. The DCU gun stands, shills, won't hear any criticism about that. That's what I don't like. That, you've got to be open to constructively criticise people. I've constructively criticised Zack Snyder, a director I have a lot of time for as a person and creatively. But I've also constructively criticised some of the things he's done, and that's okay. It doesn't mean I'm flip-flopping. It doesn't mean I suddenly dislike the guy. It means I'm a guy talking about something, and I'm just telling you about the stuff that I would have done differently, and some of the things that didn't work for me. And that's okay. I'm obsessed with Smallville. I love Smallville. But I can also say the final 3 seasons, the ball was dropped in some elements. There were still some wonderful episodes. But once the creators and showrunners, Al Miles left, there was a lot of problems within that show. And the ratings dropped. And I've constructively criticised the show that I love. That's okay as well. So I think the biggest problem in the DC fandom is the DCU James Gunn stands, because as I say, they don't have any objectivity. And I think objectivity is important. And I've said this so many times as well. I used to lack objectivity when it came to Smallville, when it came to the Snyderverse, when it came to anything I loved. When now I'm an older guy, I'm a lot more objective. I'm kind of excited for Superman. I'm a big Superman fan. But I'm also seeing a lot of problems already with the DCU, especially with the DCU Batman, which many, many people have identified as well. As I've just said, you have to see the DCU Batman before we see Brave and the Bold, considering we're not going to see Brave and the Bold till 2028, 2029. So we have to see him somewhere. He's already teased him in Creature Commandos, so he has to show up somewhere. And I think he has to show up in that Superman movie, and I think he's planning. And I think that will be a big uplift for the box office as well, and it'll keep the conversation going if we see the DCU Batman, even for a few seconds, a few minutes, in that Superman movie. But if that Superman movie is released and we still don't know who the DCU Batman is, what a cluster, F-U-C-K, and it hasn't been handled very well. And as I said yesterday, if you're going to do a slate, I want to see dates attached to that slate. I want to see at least the director's name and writers attached to that film, or don't announce the slate. That's the way it should be done. And people can say, what about the DCEU, the Snyder, blah, blah. Yeah, that's what I criticised about it, right? That they had this big slate and we never saw half to 3/4 of that slate. The idea of the DCU and Zaslav and Gunn and Safran was to do things a little bit better and correct the mistakes of the DCU. But they're repeating those mistakes, aren't they now? And I don't get it. In the Superman trailer, we see a Superman that doesn't smile. Many criticise Snyder, Terrio and Nolan for having a Superman that didn't smile much. Actually, in Man of Steel, Henry's Superman smiled quite a few times, for your information. But we saw a moody trailer, didn't we? A darker trailer. And Superman didn't seem like he was happy with life as Superman. I thought you were supposed to be changing things like that. Not that I want that stuff changed, because I enjoyed the Snyderverse. But you can't have conversations like this with the DCU Gunn fans. They don't want to see it. So these are problems. It's interesting, actually. I watched an episode of Smallville from season 2 called Ryan. And it's interesting to me, in that episode, the moral of that story is that Superman, Clark Kent, can't save everyone. His friend Ryan has got telepathic abilities, and nobody really knew the first time we saw him how. We find out in his second episode that he's actually got a brain tumour that's getting bigger and bigger and bigger. Clark tries to find a renowned surgeon, doesn't work. The kid dies, and Clark has to come to this realisation that he can't save everyone, that Superman can't save everyone. Because people talk about the Superman trailer and him bleeding and being, in that fetal position and all that. It's great because it shows that Superman is not all powerful. But in that episode of Smallville, without Clark having blood coming out of his mouth, being in the fetal position, we saw that Superman has limitations as well. And Smallville always did it with the emotional element. And that episode always brings tears to my eyes. So that's interesting as well. But as I say, on July the 11th, the James Gunn debate will be over, and I'm very much looking forward to this debate finally being over.